Good afternoon, friends. My name is Robert Arnold, and before we get started, I just want to thank you all for coming to the event, and I truly appreciate you all. If you could do me a huge favor and record if you'd like, we really want to get this message out there and share it with your friends and family. If you can, that'd be wonderful. Some of you here know me already, but for those of you that are in the audience who have never otherwise met me, I am currently 19, making me the youngest serious candidate for governor in U.S. history. Currently, I'm a full-time student of Dakota State University, studying computer science and sociology. And yes, I was there protesting our former governor's commencement speech. I am in Ogallala, Lakota, and registered with the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation, meaning that I would be the youngest and first Native governor of South Dakota. I grew up here, at the heart of this great state. While growing up here in Pierre, I joined Cub Scouts at a young age and later became a Boy Scout. As a Scout, I learned what it truly meant to swear an oath to my country, and I learned that your word is your bond. I learned why respect is valuable and how to earn it from your peers. My goal today is to begin to earn the respect of you and everyone else in South Dakota. When it comes to my interest in politics, like a lot of people my age, I grew up shaped by the ruthless pandemic, and its scars still sow seeds in our families and our politics. A politics where the idea of a better tomorrow and even the idea of what we could achieve if we put our heads together has been eclipsed by this grief and pain. For the last 5 years, I've been watching and learning about the process and learning the real fundamental issues in our society. Eventually, I began to realize that at the real fundamentals issues of our society, how dire they've built up and become. And I really decided to prepare to make my move to really set out and try to fix these issues. When I look back at my childhood, I remember the oath I took as a Scout, and I knew that I had to take a stand with what I saw in our daily lives. When I see our leaders telling us to fend for ourselves, all I can see was the pain they wanted and caused. Somebody has to step up, and the oath that I took demands that I do my part. Apart from direct political action, I gained basic leadership and communication experience by participating in my Boy Scout troop leadership and local peer student mentorship class, Gov to Gov. With these opportunities, I gained a framework for understanding and continuing to learn from the leaders that I would continue to learn and work with. Once I decided that politics was something that I was going to wholeheartedly pursue, I continued to learn and do research, eventually leading me to want real-world experience, specifically in the political world. I decided to serve as a legislative page in the 2023 legislative session, where I gained hands-on experience and solidified my understanding of where we are in terms of state politics. I learned a lot about the corruption coming from the previous governor and about the Freedom Caucus's insane dedication to the culture war that they won't shut up about, constantly bringing to the conversation transgender children instead of making sure all of our children get enough food to eat every day and quality education that they can be proud to have. This insane dedication to corruption and causing pain served further to cement my dedication to doing what's right. To continue earning experience, in 2024, I decided to take on a leadership position within an online political activism group called Progressive Victory, where I served as the South Dakota state lead for over a year now. During my time with Progressive Victory, I have met with and learned from a lot of different volunteers from across the country. Particularly, last year in June, I decided to join Progressive Victory on the ground in New York, just north of Manhattan in Yonkers, where I joined them in an attempt to get Jamal Bowman reelected as he faced record-breaking opposition because of his progressive views in Congress. Even though the outcome of that reelection was not something that I enjoyed, I learned a lot from the opportunity, and it helped me make more connections with people across the country. In the past few months, I decided to take an opportunity to serve as a legislative intern within this last session with the Senate Democrats. This experience has been the real catalyst as to why I'm here today. I learned a lot from our senators' leadership, and even though I didn't directly work with them, I also learned a lot from the representatives in our party. This session was not all sunshine and rainbows, however. Yes, the Democratic legislators were great people, and I learned a lot from them. The experience was extremely undercut by the fact that this session saw a number of genuinely evil bills come through our committees onto the floor. These bills directly went against the notion of honesty and loyalty to the people we serve. Supported by my opposition, they were betraying the simple principles that define us here in South Dakota. Needless to say, these bills sparked some tough conversations between us interns and the legislators. As interns, we took the opportunity to discuss and learn from our leaders and really soak in the experience from our legislators. There was this particular conversation that I had with one of the senators where I was asking who he had in mind for the Democratic candidate for governor. We knew each other for a fair bit by this point, and he responded with a chuckle and the fact that I should run given how passionate I am about politics. So in some ways, you can blame Senator Smith for giving me this idea. His words stuck with me though, and after figuring out that I would actually be eligible, I saw a way a real honest man could help, and I saw an opportunity to bring the conversation back to what was important, the health and success of our communities. Now that you know a fair bit more about me and my background, let's talk about my platform and what my vision is for South Dakota. First of all, we need to acknowledge where we're at. Right now, we are experiencing massive federal overreach. Under the Trump administration, we are seeing constant abuses of power and violations of the Constitution. Trump is using a hammer for problems that need a scalpel. He's hurting good people, good farmers hurt by tariffs, good ranchers struggling to rebuild their herds, teachers, nurses, and others who genuinely help our mothers and fathers raise the next generation. One of the largest problems that I see affecting us in South Dakota are all the numerous spending freezes which jeopardize the stability of our daily life. Whether it's the lack of funding for Feeding South Dakota, lack of money for conservation of our land, or shutting down educational grants, it's been made extremely clear that our congressional politicians don't care about us. Apparently, DC stands for don't care. They are not just complicit. They are often directly the cause of these evil bills passing, because there's two kinds of politicians in Washington: the ones who can't write and the ones who write bullshit. We are up to our eyeballs in bullshit already, and Representative Johnson is our guy in Congress shoveling it onto us and expects us to still want him to be our governor. This is an insult to the people who work for a living. This is unacceptable. We need someone that, when they run, will actually be willing to stand up to what is happening every day in DC, willing to call out and defend against those who seek to take advantage of the average South Dakotan regardless of party lines. Because this is not about petty team politics sports. This is about what is right and wrong. This is about life and death for our extraordinary people. This is what got me to run in this election. Not because I think I have the most experience or that I have all the answers, but because I think we need someone who is willing to take a stand to the powers that be and challenge them. Even if the deck is stacked against me, I am going to fight nonstop to improve the daily lives of every South Dakotan. I took an oath to serve my community, and I, unlike them, won't break it. I stand before you, not as a seasoned liberal politician, but as a young, energetic, incredibly passionate progressive who is willing to put in the work to make sure every South Dakotan is heard and protected. This brings me to my policy platform. Our small towns are the beating heart of our state. Small towns define our values and show us where family matters the most. Our small towns' loving and liberty-first mindset is what we should strive for. Knowing everyone and being connected to your town, I think, is one of the cornerstones of what it means to be here in South Dakota. Closely linked are our outdoor industries like game, fish, parks, and our agricultural industries. When it comes to our communities, for decades, but largely since COVID, our communities have been in decay. People start to barely talk to each other, nobody knows their neighbor, and they aren't really interested in their communities. However, the pandemic also showed us what's important in life, and it's time to invest in what matters. I believe that government has a responsibility to provide us with the space to form healthy communities without dictating what happens in them. It's time to serve as an example for our country by building new spaces that allow Americans to do what they do best: live, grow, and innovate. By making our cities green and walkable, South Dakota could lead the way in redefining what it means to live in a city. We need to heal our broken society, and this is my goal not only once I'm elected, but while I'm on the campaign path. I will be pushing policies that improve the walkability of our towns and keep our towns safe. I will push for better quality, more affordable housing, especially in our growing communities, because everyone has the right to have a place to lay their head, and I will not stop fighting until affordable housing is the reality for every single South Dakotan. Another major concern is taxes. I agree that taxes should not be higher than we need them to be, particularly property taxes. The factor in making property taxes so important nowadays is is that what they're mostly used for is funding our education, our schools. It's incredibly pricey. The problem is that property taxes don't always fund the schools, and even if it does, the large portion of the budget for the small towns goes towards the schools. I'm proposing that we should instead use state funding to fund schools. That way there is less burden on the property taxes that is collected, and schools are not funded based off of the property values of the homes around them. I believe in the next generation of South Dakotans, and they deserve equal opportunity schooling regardless of where they are, rural or urban. Because good education is required to have a good life, and life should not be about what zip code you're born into. When it comes to community, there's nobody in more need of support than our native reservations. For generations, my relatives have been struggling to keep their communities afloat and have desperately needed support in two key ways. We need increased economic investment in these areas where we can bring jobs and security to the people who want to work. This doesn't just go for the reservations, this goes for all of rural South Dakota. We also need to solve a large problem that everyone knows and acknowledges on the reservations: drug abuse and even gang violence. Just recently, Rosebud Reservation has put out a statement of emergency stating that they need more law enforcement on the reservations, which I'm sure they do. But the problem is that giving more law enforcement on the reservations does not solve the problem. If we want to actually solve the problem, we need to look at the environment and see how it influences these people. If we truly invest our time and effort, and not just money, into these areas, we can really leave them better off. Growing up, I was taught dedication, honesty, and hard work. I was taught that if you are going to do something, you better do it right, which is exactly what I plan to do. In the coming weeks, not only will I be constantly reaching out to the media to get my message out, I will be traveling to, and in some cases hosting, events across the state. I want to meet people from every corner of South Dakota. I don't care about party affiliation, and I promise never to lecture on things that we disagree about. All I want to do is sit down, have coffee, and maybe play some cards. I have faith in our people. I trust that we can pull through these trying times, and with your support, I plan to work tirelessly in service of you and your loved ones. Being a first-time candidate, especially for this race, will not be easy, but I swear to you, South Dakota, I will keep moving forward. Thank you.